they don't understand sarcasm.
Exactly.
They don't understand jokes. So
and they don't know how to show their expression if they are happy or they are
Exactly.
sad.
So most of them have a flat expression. So you can't actually tell what they are thinking, and they can't actually tell what you're thinking. As much as we're saying stigma, some people don't even know what autism is.
Yeah.
They don't even know what's happening to the child. They don't even know that, okay, this is actually a mental
disorder.
They don't even know that this child, something is wrong. And that thing that is wrong can actually be addressed.
I was like, hi. He just looked at me. Like, his facial expression changed. In my mind, I was like, hey, what did I do to this boy? What did I do?
It will surprise you or shock you to know that most people grow out of autism. They get to a particular age and you can barely detect the fact that they have autism. If it is being addressed
Managed
early,
well. Yeah.
if you're a very attentive mother, then at the age of 1, 2, you should be able to notice that this child is not behaving like other kids.
Yeah.
What can we do about it?
It might interest you that there's no particular way to prevent this thing.
Abi our able psychologist.
Hey guys, you're welcome. This is season 2 of Timeline. My name is Paul and I'm your host for this wonderful season. Today I'm joined with 2 beautiful ladies. I have Joan Eze in the building.
Hi guys.
And also we have Jennifer.
Sorry.
Kizito.
Wow.
Are you blushing?
No. She scared me.
What did you do?
She scared you.
What did I say? Hi guys.
You're welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Paul.
Like your smile.
Thank you.
I'm blushing.
Uh-uh.
Today we'll be talking about autism. Autism affects 1 out of 54 children in the US, and at the moment is currently growing in Africa and specifically in Nigeria, according to the CDC. Autism, or also known as Autistic Spectrum Disorder, ASD, is a developmental disability usually caused by differences in the brain. People with autism usually have problems with social interaction and also communication. It's a very interesting one, and CDC has a lot to say on that.
Okay, thank you so much, Paul. I was even wondering if you've already started defining it already. Okay, so let's move to what CDC, that's the Center for Disease Prevention, is talking about autism. Just like what Paul said, autism, another form of autism is the Autism Spectrum Disorder. And CDC defined it as a neurodevelopmental disability, right? And which leads to communication, social, and behavioral difficulties. So this actually means that is a neurodevelopmental disorder or disability. This has to do with the brain.
Development of the brain.
Yeah, development of the brain. So people actually go through this, and what's actually portray this whole autism stuff is they don't communicate well socially. They are not really that active and all that. So let's move to you, our psychologists, right? Okay, so in your discipline and where you've actually based, what are those signs and symptoms that affect people living with autism?
Okay, so there are whole branches of stuff, like you mentioned. We are looking at the social interaction. We're looking at communication. We're looking at behavior. So like these are like 3 branches of signs or symptoms we have to look out for when we want to diagnose autism spectrum disorder. So we'll look at the fact that they can maintain eye contact with people. They have issues, sensory issues. Many of them have sensory issues. They can't actually stay under bright lights. There are certain materials they can't wear because they find issues. It reacts with their skin, or
their skin can accommodate it.
Yes, they find it uncomfortable.
Okay.
So we also look at the fact that social interaction, like we mentioned, they can effectively communicate with people, detect social cues or emotional cues.
Let's break it down, right?
Yeah.
So all of these are like big grammars.
Yeah.
What you mean by that is that they don't understand sarcasm.
Exactly.
They don't understand jokes. So
And they don't know how to show their expression if they are happy or they are
Exactly.
sad.
So most of them have a flat expression. So you can't actually tell what they are thinking, and they can't actually tell what you're thinking. So, at that moment when typical African environments, maybe you do something, your mom looks at you, gives you a kind of eye. You already
Sarcastic
know
eye.
what that implies. But someone on the spectrum cannot identify those kind of cues or social cues or facial expressions and the rest of them. So these are like a few signs that you would find with people with autism.
I guess before we even continue with the signs and symptoms, I want to ask one very serious and funny question.
All right.
In this time and era now, usually African parents, when they cut eyes to some children, they'll be like, Mama, what's wrong with your eyes? Does that mean that such a child probably is on the spectrum? Or maybe, they are doing something with their leg. Oh, Mom, why are you beating me now?
How will you be asking your mommy, why are you cutting eye for it? That's the end though. Like, I discipline you. But anyways, to add some more signs and symptoms, there's this word called echolalia. And that's the repetition of
words.
Words, phrases, sounds. Actually, what's another like sign that
Let's come to the
affected.
developmental stage of anybody now. Like that's when this individual is still a child.
Yeah.
I think one of the very first things that I usually noticed is that there's a delay in speech.
Okay.
Usually, I think that should be between 0 to 24 months. Usually, you just hear them probably saying just one word, not saying any. Usually at that age, that's like 2 years already. The child is meant to be saying something. Like communicating is gibberish, right? But the mother will obviously know. Like shout out to mothers, actually.
Thanks a lot.
So like usually, right at the developmental stage, they usually have this very long delayed speech, and that thing again is that they have very fixated interests. They are probably fixed with materials like probably a particular
toy.
If you don't see it, to begin to scream and all of that,
But that does not mean if I have a favorite cup, I'm autistic.
No, obviously, it doesn't mean actually. So for me now, for example, when I eat at home, I have the cup I used to drink tea, and just tea, that's what I want to do. Any food I want to eat has to be in this white plate, and that's how I do it. Yeah. So like all of those things, that doesn't mean that you fall under the spectrum. It has to. I feel like every dot has to connect.
Yeah.
Or am I right?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things you'll find with autism is that they have a pattern of behavior.
Yes.
It's that rigidity, it's that fixation on a particular thing.
Yeah.
Just like you said, maybe they can pick one word and then that's the word for them.
They pick on
or
it.
they pick a sound and that's the sound for them. Or they pick a spot in the house.
Yeah.
To pick them from that spot to somewhere else.
You have
like
destroyed a lot of
disrupting their system.
Yeah.
They have developed their own ecosystem. That's their place for them.
They find their peace of mind somewhere and they want to be there.
To move them from that ecosystem to somewhere else is disruptive for them. So the fact is just that they are fixated on many things. Many of them, that's the pattern. They love a stereotyped pattern. Like they love this.
They want to know that, okay, by 8 every morning, I'm awake.
Yeah.
By 9, I have breakfast.
Yeah.
By 10, I go back to sleep.
Yeah.
By 11, I wake up to watch TV. And then between 12 and 3, I'm playing. By 4 again, I go for evening nap. By 5, I come out to come and eat dinner. And I go to sleep by 9. They just want it to be like, so usually if there's any change in pattern, there's a problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So funny enough, let me just gist you for one small story about one autistic child that I met. Yeah. So if you see this boy, he's so fine. Now I went to see this family with a friend of mine, and when we got there, before you know it, the boy just came out and ran towards my friend because they are like family members. Yeah. So when he ran towards him, they hugged and all that. So I was like, hi. He just looked at me. Like his facial expression changed. In my mind, I was like, hey, what did I do to this boy? What did I do? So after some time, he ran away from the parlor and then he came back. I sat down. And next thing he said, looking at my hair. I was wearing a wig. I was just like, hey, let this boy not come and remove my wig. So he was trying to like check what's going on. So I was like, what's going on? And when I looked at my friend, I was like, tell him to stop now, and that kind of thing. So he now screamed at him. And then he ran away and started laughing. But it was not funny. So after a while, he came back and started coming close to me, sitting down close to me, and he'll try to touch me. He'll remove his hand, and I'll look at him. If I want to touch him, he would go away and all that. So I kept on pondering on it when I left that place. I was like, why is this child behaving like that? And I found out that he's actually autistic.
That's very interesting. But again, I think one of the things that should also be said again, because we talked about they're highly sensitive to things, and that's one of the examples. Now, when you're trying to touch that particular child, how he reacted.
Yeah. So we can also state the facts from the story you just mentioned that most of them have boundary issues. They don't know that this is a limit they shouldn't
They don't
cross.
understand social boundaries.
Exactly.
Let's put that way.
Social boundaries. So they don't know that I'm not supposed to touch this person. This is male, this is female. So I shouldn't cross a particular boundary. Or they know that, okay, there are parts of the body you shouldn't touch when you meet people. They don't know that sometimes they meet people and they are fascinated by those people and they attach themselves to those people, not knowing that we are just meeting, so we should have
let's take it easy.
Exactly. So they don't know how to take it easy. So in most cases,
that's actually very interesting, because this thing you can continue going up and down.
It's so interesting to
exactly. And I love the topic very much because they are very interesting individuals and they are very loving individuals as well. Let's talk about some people that lived a successful life with autism. There are a lot of people under the spectrum, like you've said that this thing is a spectrum, meaning that it's very wide, but yet again it's narrow, because at the end of the day, all of them kind of behave similar. Right. So we have one very prominent person that has publicly declare that he's living with autism, is one of the richest guys in the world, Elon Musk, the owner of X.
My ex, actually.
He's your ex. He's the CEO of SpaceX and also the CEO of Tesla. And is living within the spectrum. Specifically, he has Asperger's syndrome. Elon Musk is very successful today. And I feel like one way or the other is because he has this particular thing in him. Because if he's not under, I don't know, right? But because he's under the spectrum, because I know that they also have this thing of perfection. Anything they want to do, it has to be with perfection. It has to be precise. They like following the law to the book. They don't bend social rules so often. They just, if this is the law, they prefer to follow the law like that and all of that. So I feel like one of the things that probably made Elon Musk so successful like this is because of this particular syndrome.
I won't go with you on that because we have many rich people that don't have Asperger's syndrome. So we can't exactly say that that's what made him rich because if we depend on that, a lot of people would want to be on the spectrum.
But again, you cannot fall under the spectrum like that now.
Well, will I just say, let's say it's like a two-way. There's a fault and there's a gift attached to the fault. That's just how I see it. So let's move to another one. Another GOAT. That's the greatest of all time.
I was thinking, man.
A scientist, world-renowned scientist. That's Albert Einstein. Okay, so Albert Einstein, when he was a child, from research, he had delay in speech and echolalia. He suffered that too. Like he was always repeating words and phrases and sounds. But after a while, he grew, and because of his, like the way he thinks, the different way he thinks and all that, he started making groundbreaking decisions, and that was how he became a renowned scientist in the world. And today, Albert Einstein, even though he's late, he will forever be remembered for a lot of things.
In the world of science.
And then let us come to Diodogo himself in Nigeria, our one and only, the 14-year-old Kanyachukwu Tagbo Okeke. Well, Okeke is a very smart kid living with autism. And like we all know, in fact, his parents have already pushed him to the world and say he's autistic. Not some people that will be hiding their children and be ashamed of them and all that. But Okeke actually started painting at the age of 2. And so his parents actually took interest in him. And as I'm talking to you right now, he's he's world recognized. He has
Yeah.
gotten a lot of awards, and currently he's even doing this Guinness World Record. He's painting a very big stuff like that, which we'll tell you later. And that's just
We'll
how
get
it
to that
is.
part later.
Yeah.
These are very prominent
Successful
people and they're
people.
successful, right?
Yeah.
And yet they're still living within the spectrum. We'll go on a short break now. Once we are back, we'll continue with the gist of autism.
Hey everyone, let's face it, our world today experiences numerous challenges. And guess what? Our community isn't off the hook either. Most of the world issues are either not talked about enough or never talked about at all. But here on Timeline, we've got you covered. We dive deep into issues that affect us every day, leaving behind footprints of wisdom, knowledge, and solutions. Think of it like a roadmap that keeps you on the track for success. So buckle up, because in this new season of Timeline, we're taking another trip through the past, the present, and navigate into a more promising future. Again, we're talking solutions, people. And let's make one thing clear. This is not your average blah, blah, blah convo. This is real talk with a side of inspiration and a sprinkle of wow. I never thought about it like that. I'm your host on this impactful ride. Together, we'll tackle the tough stuff, laugh a little, and find ourselves on the path to positive change. So what are you waiting for? Season 2 of Timeline will be loaded. Let's get started. Hop in, and let's drive straight into the heart of issues shaping our world. Let's go. Oh, one more thing. Hit that subscribe button and let's take this ride together.
Every day, amazing stories of hope and tenacity unfold across the globe. On Hued Hour, we dive into these inspiring tales and discuss the vital work being done in the humanitarian and development space. Humanity has never faced a shortage of challenges, yet we rise stronger through teamwork and determination. Though these remedies are often underreported, on Hued Hour, we advocate sustainable solutions. We bring you the latest and most impactful news on how lives are being changed. We engage with young change makers and experts who provide valuable insights into relief efforts and the challenges faced by local communities through a global perspective. Join us every Wednesday by 8 a.m. on Hued Network's YouTube channel as we embark on this journey of positive change.
Yeah, welcome back. And the gist still remains autism. And now we're moving on to things that are more interesting about this particular story. It might interest you that there's no particular way to prevent this thing.
Yeah.
You're laughing.
Abi our able psychologist.
Is there a way,
No,
like,
actually, there is no prevention for autism, considering that the causes of autism are not very clear. But we
Yes.
have a few pointers to what could possibly cause
Cause it.
autism. For example, there are genetic factors which predisposes people to have autism.
Okay.
Then we can now talk about other environmental factors like maybe the mother being sick during
during the
Pregnancy.
We can talk about lack of oxygen during pregnancy or during childbirth. There is also preterm delivey, like giving birth before time.
Yeah,
Maybe within
premature delivery.
like maybe 25 weeks or 26 weeks, 27 weeks.
Yeah.
And when you give it such, they have low birth weight and the rest of them. So this is what some of the things that we can point at that the causes. So as you can see from those causes, they are not things we can exactly control. So we can't exactly prevent autism. What we can effectively do is manage the situations, and we encourage
right.
mothers to take proper care of the children.
Yeah.
during pregnancy, or take necessary precautions.
Try to be careful.
Exactly. During pregnancy in order to prevent all these environmental factors. But there's nothing we can do about genetics. So
When you talked about oxygen, do you know what came to my head?
What was that?
It will sound funny. I was like, okay, we'll be giving the child extra oxygen more than the one that we are breathing. Like we'll be blowing breeze inside the stomach.
So usually, right, there, probably the mother fell seriously sick at a particular point where she couldn't breathe. Probably she had some issues with her respiratory
system.
So things like that will usually reduce the amount of oxygen that goes to the child. Or in fact, sometimes no oxygen goes to the child at that particular period.
Yeah.
I know of the genetics as well, that usually 1 out of 5 people, probably if a family member has it, it's possible. Like in 1 out of 5 cases, actually. And that is actually a very close number if you look at it very well. But again, it's very interesting because if you are with autism, it's possible that you don't give birth to a child with autism as well.
yes.
Let's talk about the stigma that surrounds all of these things. Because I feel like for everything that there is in this life, right, there's a stigma that comes with it. For example, now, some people don't know how to carry people that are autistic along in social gatherings. They rather, even at the moment, some people would, if you are not ready to socialize, everybody will just leave it to your own space.
Yeah.
And like that, they become on their own. Maybe that's, again, I'm saying it again, maybe that's why we have people like Elon Musk, because when you're on your own, you get to bet more ideas. Remember that it's in the bedroom that we used to have the best ideas.
You that know.
Oh, you don't know. They don't know now. That it's in the bedroom that we bet the best ideas in the world. So yes, usually there are a lot of stigmas that come with all of these things. But how well can we address all of these stigma that comes with this particular spectrum?
Well, like every other mental health issue or disorder, especially in the African society, there is always stigma attached to it. And
Yes.
autism will not be
different.
It will not be different. So the first thing is, we're also talking about prevention and treatment. So the best thing would be, first of all, to educate people, awareness. I think, especially in this part of the world, what we'll have to do is get people to be more aware about autism. In fact, you can interview 10 people and realize that 9 of them haven't heard
Of autism.
of autism before, or even 10 of them, they've not heard about autism before. So I think, like what we are doing now, it's a beautiful approach. So more awareness, let people be more aware of autism, its symptoms, because as much as we're saying stigma, some people don't even know what autism is. They don't even know what's happening to the child. They don't even know that, okay, this is actually a mental disorder. They don't even know that this child, something is wrong, and that thing that is wrong can actually be addressed if detected very early.
Yes.
It's advisable to detect autism between the age 2 to 3 so that necessary
process
can start. Therapy and the rest of them, they can start as early as possible. It will surprise you or shock you to know that most people grow out of autism. They get to a particular age and you can barely detect the fact that they have autism if it is being addressed earlier. Very earlier. If we can do that, then there are better chances of people improving. So with the stigma stuff, we have to start with awareness. Let people know that this thing exists. This is what we can do for these people. There are many, Nigeria is getting better and we can do much more better.
Sure.
There are many organizations out there that are into autism awareness and foundations, NGOs. Get acquainted with many of them. And another thing, it's when you give birth to a child and you notice some certain signs and this thing, is not to dump the child at home.
Take the person to a doctor.
Take the person to a doctor, find out what the issue is. If you're a very attentive mother, then at the age of 1, 2, you should be able to notice that this child is not behaving like other kids. What can we do about it? It looks like most children face stigma by the time they get to the age 10, 11, 12, and even older. But these things can be prevented and they can live a more better life if we can start earlier. if we can start early, then we can prevent the parts where they are dependent on people, they can't do anything.
Yeah, I think this creation of awareness, sensitization stuff she's talking about is very important. And from research, every 2nd of April is where the Autism Day. Yeah. So another thing that I feel we could do is this is now like coming to our parents, people that are taking care of the people living with autism.
Yeah.
I feel they could actually do better. They also have a huge role to play, right? Especially, first of all, you give them awards or you gift them when they exhibit good characters. Yeah, because they can tend to control you if you're not careful. So most times, whenever they act good towards people, you tend to like commend them. Okay, I love the way you spoke to Olivia today. Well done on that. They might do as if they are not listening to you. They can continue doing what they are doing, but they actually got that. Then when they are being silly, sorry to use the word, they are just behaving in a nasty way, you correct them.
Put them to order back again.
Put them to order and tell them that this thing you're doing is wrong. And also in this aspect of the way they live their life in a circular form or in a rigid manner, you could try to inform them prior time. Okay, so by 4:00 we'll be going to the shopping mall. By 4:00, maybe that time is 2. So maybe around 2:30 you come back again. Junior, by 4:00, sorry, is your name Junior?
No,
okay.
It's not.
So Junior, by 4:00, we'll be going to the shopping mall. And you could also use pictorial representations, to show them what you're communicating. So I feel with that,
again, I feel like there's also a burden as well on the early child teachers as well. Because again, you spend ample time with these children in school.
Kudos to our teachers.
Because early child education is actually one of the growing. I think it's now growing and it's more outspoken now than before. Before they just employ somebody that can teach small.
They can come and take care of my child.
No English. But now they're now employing more of the professionals. And it's expected that you as a child, you should know everyone in your class. That's why I think the normal ratio for such classes should be 1:20 or 1:18. I really can't remember now. So usually once you have like probably 18 students or 20 students, you'll be able to know everybody's name, you'll be able to know how they behave, how they react to things, and also how they interact to things. And not just that, you should be able to also relate it to their parents early enough, so that if probably the child is under the spectrum, they'll be able to take the necessary precautions and ensure that this
is being managed.
Exactly. Again, during your statements, right, you mentioned that it's possible that they outlive it, meaning that they don't, probably they move from a side of the spectrum that is highly concentrated to somewhere that is of low concentration. So how possible is this for a child to move from the very high side to the low side?
Well, it's very possible with therapy. This is why we are looking at early detection. Like I said, if we can identify that this child has autism at a very young age, 2-3 years, then the appropriate therapy can begin. As soon as it begins, especially if the child has issues with verbal communication, they can begin to learn. Many of them, the problem is not that they can't talk, but they just need the appropriate stimulations for them to begin to talk.
Exactly.
So eventually they learn to talk. So many of them, they can learn. And the thing is, as much as we are trying to look at autism as a weakness, there are also strengths. So that's why we have the therapy, so that we can identify the strengths, build their skill set around their strengths, so that they cannot just be dependent on their parents or people forever. They can eventually get to the point where they can live by themselves, do things on their own, and without any problem. So they eventually do, if addressed early, they can live a very normal life.
Exactly. I think we've done
justice.
I don't say justice to the author, because there's actually more to be said, and then the conversation still continues regardless, and it continues with you specifically. So what will be your closing statement for this particular on this particular topic?
Okay. Autism is not something that you should feel ashamed because you are not responsible for it.
Yes.
In fact, even scientists are still trying to find out what the
actual
issue
cause.
is. Your parents are not responsible for it. You can't exactly say that
This is what's
this is
causing.
what causes it. So we advise parents to actually look out for things that point to this autism in their kids. Find out early and then go for appropriate treatment and therapy. Then if you have autism, it's not something that you should go and hang yourself over. It's something that you should identify with the appropriate therapists, doctors, people that can actually help you build a skill set, come through or become stronger and better. It's not like we just had an example of Elon Musk and
Tabo.
Talbot
yes.
and the rest of them. You don't exactly have to be a genius like them, but you can actually
You can
live
also
a
be the
very
genius.
good life. Exactly.
You can also be your genius.
So we encourage that you can live life like every other person. You can live life effectively. What we are just asking for is that wherever you are, find the right place to, right hospital, clinic, therapist to begin your treatment.
Okay, in the spirit of finding out that you're autistic, or your parents finding out that their children their child is autistic, I think you should, or I know you should try to discover what that child loves to do, the creative part of that child. Just like Tagbo Okeke and others, Tagbo loves to paint from two, like when he was 2 years. So you can actually find out that special thing, because I feel creativity is deposited in everybody. So it depends on where your own lies. So try to find out what that child can do and bring out the best in that child. And of course, don't be ashamed of that child. In fact, you are the next Elon Musk. I will see you later.
Exactly. Until when you become the next Elon Musk, it's important to know that autism is a very large spectrum, and it is unlimitless, meaning that you can stretch yourself out of it, and also you can become something very important out of it. But with understanding and support, we all can support those living with autism. My name remains Paul, and that's how we end this particular episode. And I was joined with two beautiful voices today with the name of
Gionese.
and also we had in the building
Jennifer Kizito.
Thanks for coming. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Bye for now.
Bye.